Hello, everybody, and welcome to the GWOT FOB podcast, brought to you by Combat Outpost Robinson, doing great things for our veterans. I'm your host, Jim Robinson, and today we got a little different surprise for you. We've got a guest by the name of Nathan Keller, is coming to you all the way from Canada. Nathan is a Canadian Afghanistan veteran, and he's here to talk to us a little bit about what he's got going on up there in Canada. He's got some very interesting projects going on. But before we dive into that, Nathan, why don't you give us a little background on what it was like growing up there in Canada as a kid and how you came to be involved in the military, and we'll just kind of go from there.
Sure, yeah. So I actually grew up on the West Coast, a place called British Columbia. And I grew up specifically in a place called Chilliwack, which was a home to our engineering school, our combat engineer school. So I grew up around the military at the time. My stepdad, he was in the Canadian Forces for 23 and a half years, served in the Air Force.
Yeah, good.
And yeah, I was always sort of interested in being a soldier. And up through high school, I was in our cadet program up here. So sort of, getting used to the military at that time.
Right.
And then out of high school, went and did some security jobs for a while, and didn't really like it that much. The global war on terror was obviously being fought at that time. I was 15 when 9/11 happened. It was probably the most pivotal moment of my life, really, for somebody of my generation.
Yeah, right.
Really influenced everything that was going on. Canada had been in Afghanistan since around 2001, 2002.
Right.
So I grew up with that, right? I grew up with the Iraq War. I grew up with the war in Afghanistan, watching the invasion of Afghanistan on CNN.
Right.
And yeah, Canada had been involved for a while. We were in Kandahar in around 2006, 2007. We started taking a lot of casualties.
Right.
And, one day I went to apply for a new job, and they asked me, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? And I couldn't answer that question. I just, I obviously didn't see myself there in the next 5 years.
Well, and that's not been a very good job.
Well, it was probably really good for some people, but not for me.
Right.
And
I get it.
I just came to a realization that's not what I wanted to do. So that very day, I actually went to the recruiting center and said, I'm going to put my paperwork in. And I was in 3 weeks later in doing my basic training.
Oh, that's awesome. That was pretty quick.
Yeah, especially, I had applied years before. I didn't get a phone call for 6 months, and it was just one test at a time. It was going really slow. So yeah, 3 weeks was very fast. Yeah,
it was fast. They must have been needing bodies.
They definitely were. Yeah.
And what branch were you in?
Right. So I was in the Canadian Army, and specifically, I joined up as what we call a armored crewman. And I joined. The regiment I joined was called the Royal Canadian Dragoons. So it's a very old regiment. We were mostly an armored reconnaissance regiment. So I think the equivalent would be a cavalry scout down south.
Okay.
And we operated in sort of basically a LAV 25, what the Marine Corps uses. We call it a LAV Coyote up north here. And that's what we operated in. Yeah.
All right. That's pretty cool. And what kind of things did you do? Well, let's back up a little bit. What year was your first deployment in Afghanistan?
Yeah, so I only had one deployment. I deployed in 2009. I deployed in October of 2009. Yeah.
Okay. I actually have a friend that was over in 2009 as well. He worked with me out at Steel Mill here locally, and he actually went over with Hungarians.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, he was with the National Guard unit here, and his unit was sent over to Hungary to train with the Hungarians and help them, kind of teach them a little bit. And then he went into Afghanistan with the Hungarians. So, and he was all over the place. He was over in the Korengal Valley area a lot, and so Majah Sharif, and he was a little bit all over that place the way it sounds. So, what
Yeah, I
area
mean,
were you in?
right. So I was in Kandahar specifically, and then
Okay,
inside of Kandahar, mostly operated within the Dan district area, which is west of Kandahar Airfield, and then up through the Panjwai area. That
okay.
was
Well,
kind of our stomping
that was a
grounds.
pretty hot area too,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I was there in 2009, I mean, every year it sort of evolves, right? The Taliban sort of changed their tactics.
right?
Um, and for us, my unit specifically, the threat every day was IEDs. That was their big threat.
Right,
We certainly never really had any kinetic, sort of engagements with the Taliban, especially in our vehicles. They weren't going to try and take on, um, our coyotes with a 25 millimeter, Bushmaster. It's just kind of a losing fight for them. So,
right,
yeah, our big fight was trying to survive the IEDs and figuring out what the tactics were at that
right.
time, how they were going to try and hit us.
So, okay. And let's talk a little bit about what life was like while you was on deployment.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a huge surreal cultural change landing there, right? It's a bit of
Right,
a bit of a mind blast arriving in. Uh, obviously it was hot, it was dusty. You come off the plane, you get loaded on some kind of Afghan jingle truck going to our next location. Don't really know what's going to happen. You don't know, is it going to be kind of like Vietnam with the FOB coming under fire and Taliban trying to get inside the wire? I mean, it wasn't like that. Not that the Taliban didn't try to get into Kandahar airfield from time to time, but
right,
first 3 days were pretty low key. Just getting ready to go outside the wire. Then we loaded up in a Chinook and we were flown out to Strong Point, Gorgon. That's where we landed. That was really kind of interesting, flying in a Chinook low over the ground. You just see all the terrain.
right,
It's nothing like North America at all, of course, right? It's very extremely
right,
arid, very, what's the word? Agriculture, right? Farms everywhere, grape fields everywhere.
right,
Not really a lot of urban planning, right? So just kind of sprawls everywhere. And you don't really know what to expect, right? Like you sort of have a vision, in my mind anyways, waiting for the Taliban to try and shoot us down. That didn't
right,
happen, right? But you don't know what to
well,
expect. Um,
right,
and then, landing was kind of interesting. The helicopter, did a big circle around the strong point. And there was just a ton of Afghan civilians around. I didn't know what to expect. Were these friendly or not? I think they were just
exactly.
excited by the helicopter. And then
Probably.
landing, sort of felt like Charlie Sheen from Platoon, right? Like, what am I doing here? And you're coming off the back of this helicopter, dragging my rucksack. It was like 80 pounds. It's probably
Right,
fine for like the average infantry. I was just an armor guy. We're not living out our rucksacks. I'm dragging this thing
right,
behind me, wondering why I have a rucksack that weighs 80 pounds when I have a vehicle. And, trying to get inside the strong point because I'm worried about getting shot. I'm like the last guy off the helicopter too, right?
right,
And as I walk up there, there's this guy standing outside. He's got long, wavy blonde hair. He's not wearing a t-shirt. He's tan. He's got camo shorts on. And he's in flip-flops. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Well,
right.
he was our South African dog handler. The guy had been there for the last 5 years. He was actually quite
Oh, okay.
famous. Saving all that money up. So, anyways,
Right.
that was my first day. It was really a bit of a mind fuck. So,
Oh, I could imagine. Oh, wow. Uh, how many, if any, Afghans were working with you guys?
oh, great question. So I moved around to various different places, but I'll say like the
Okay.
main place that we worked at. So, Strong Point. Well, it had multiple names. First, it was called Strong Point Lady Marion, which is a strip club from Quebec. And so we took over from our French brothers and sisters, and they had
Oh,
named it
wow.
that. I guess we couldn't keep it that name, so we called it Strong Point Tarnac. But there, we had two local nationals that came by every day, and they were paid to help us do various tasks. So they
Right.
filled sandbags or whatever. They were very very particular about how sandbags should be done too. They were hard workers.
Okay.
And then we had quite a few interpreters with us that lived inside of our camp. They always kind
Okay.
of rotated. I would say we had between 5 and 10 at any given time.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
and then later on, we moved up the road to a place called the Dan District Center. And this was another sort of patrol base. It had a district center government system there. So sort of a bit of a bureaucratic place, and there was a school outside. We had quite a few Afghans that worked there as well, providing different services. There was even one who, he was doing laundry and stuff for us.
Hmm.
I was just a young soldier. I didn't really know much about what they were doing or where they were getting paid, but it was all part of, trying to provide some kind of jobs and stability
Right.
to the locals. Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's great that you guys had that type of relationship with some good Afghans that were your allies.
For sure. Yeah.
I know. I have talked with a few people already that's familiar with Afghanistan and spent some time in Afghanistan, and actually had an Afghan on the show. His episode's coming up here in a couple of weeks. And some of the stories that I got from them was just horrendous. So, to have people like that's willing to stand up and fight for their own country and, and help the people that's there that help them, it just says, volumes as to what kind of people they are to me. So, I'm glad that you got to experience some good experiences with the people of the land. So,
Yeah. I mean, mileage always varies, right? But
right,
for the
right,
most part, we had good experiences. I mean, yeah, it was what it was. Yeah.
okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about what you got going on up there in Canada. I know that you got the Athena project that you're working on, and you've also got, what is it, Project 44?
That's right. Yeah.
Why don't you give us a little information on both of those programs?
Yeah. So when I got out of the army about 7 years ago or so, um, I had actually switched trades out of the armored corps into what we call a geomatics technician. And that's just a nerdy, fancy word for somebody who makes maps. So I'd spent the last half of my career making maps for the army.
Okay,
And I've always been a huge history buff. And one of the things I wanted to do was try and understand conflict better, right? Not just
right,
through the lens that we get through regular books. It's a nice, neat, and tidy bookend. If we talk about D-Day, right? There's
right.
a million books about D-Day.
Oh, yeah,
But I wanted to know what happened, the days after D-Day or, months after D-Day on a regular day. And
right,
as I
because you
always,
don't hear about that.
exactly. And, what I always tell people is I consider myself sort of a regular soldier, right? I don't have
Right,
a crazy story to tell. It would be extremely boring to most soldiers what I did overseas. To my family and to myself, it's very important, right? What I
right,
did, where I was,
absolutely.
and it's part of sort of the greater fabric of our history. So with Project 44, what I wanted to do was, sort of the challenge was, could we map out the Canadian Army day by day through the war so that you could go on a web map and see where a unit was on any given day and then read their war diary to read about what they were doing that day. So
That's amazing.
thank you. Yeah, we started that in 2018.
Oh,
We've been
okay.
working on it for a long time. We mapped the Canadian Army completely um, about 4 or 5 years ago. We also mapped out all the other units. So, the American Army, the British Army, the German side, right? But they're at sort of a higher level, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Where the Canadians were more down at the tactical level, at the battalion level. But we're actually rebuilding it completely so that we can map out the entire war. So eventually,
That will be amazing.
exactly, that's the goal. It's a long-term project. It'll be around for a while. But anyways, from
Right.
from building all that, and being an Afghanistan veteran, um, I want to also do the same thing with Afghanistan. So it's kind of a different war, right? World War
Right.
II is obviously a lot more linear. It's a little easier to tell the story because there's a definitive start and a definitive end.
Right.
Which side everybody's fighting on is much easier to tell. There's uniforms, right?
Right.
But with Afghanistan, one of the great benefits we have is that, digital cameras, were kind of coming out when the war
Right.
started.
Yes.
I personally deployed to Afghanistan in 2009 with a camera. I took over 1,000 photos. Most of them were terrible because I wasn't a good photographer back then. But, at least I have them, right? So,
Right.
sorry, the kernel of Project Athena is many Afghan veterans have photos. So, put them on a web map and start to tell that story. And over time, we're going to sort of grow that project. So right now it's a lot of geotagged photos. And then we have some things like tactical infrastructure showing where FOBs and strong points and, patrol bases are. And that's all from a gentleman named Pete McPhail, who's a U.S. Marine retired veteran. He did this project and he handed the data off to me, which I really appreciate, so we could show it on the web map. But eventually we're going to grow that so that users can add where these patrol bases were and these strong points are. Because I think we have about 1,000 mapped out, but there's way more, right? And
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And they fluctuate, right? Over time, strong points stand up, they're taken down, they're moved, their names change. So we want to try and capture all of that.
I think that is amazing that you've got the ability to map that out like that. And it's my understanding with what you're doing that, different veterans can contact you and get on your site or whatever and pinpoint a fob that they was at. And then, hey, this is fob so-and-so, and this is where it was. And I was there at this time on deployment. And I just find that amazing.
Yeah. So, exactly. And I just want to clarify quickly, they don't even have to contact us. They can just sign up to the website and they have all the tools. Because what I wanted to do, I didn't want to be the, the pipeline that slows everything down, right? So anybody can sign up. I mean, you need to be a veteran or have served there, and you can start uploading photos. We have a whole moderation system. So anybody who's making up some fantastical story, it's not going to get through. It's going to be a waste of their time.
Good.
So yeah, we have moderators. We have Canadian moderators. I have a bunch of American moderators because I didn't want to moderate American photos. I don't understand, the language or, the units, etc. I wouldn't be able to tell what's bullshit or not. I know what's bullshit on the Canadian side. So yeah, we have a moderation system, so people don't need to worry about whether or not
that's good.
Some stolen vowers coming in there. And I'm not saying it's not going to happen. Somebody might eventually throw something in there, but we'll have a reporting. We have a reporting system for that. But you know what?
That's great.
So far, of all the photos we've had added, we haven't had anything weird or fabricated show up. And honestly, I'm really surprised by some of the photos that people want to share. We have photos of, fob life, right? Just fob cats. I think that's interesting, right? People don't, outside of serving, they don't realize that animals and stuff are in these fobs and they exist.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Sometimes that's a nice, you've had a shitty day, something bad's happened. Well, you got a nice dog or cat that's in a fob. So people have uploaded photos of that. There's a photo of an American soldier somewhere out west in Afghanistan. He's got a fishing rod. He's fishing in the river. I mean, that's the life for some people, right? Like that's their story. I think that's amazing. So
I've not seen any pictures like those yet, but I have seen pictures of U.S. guys on the fob where my son was at, running around in their underwear carrying fire extinguishers with capes on and stuff.
Those are all great stories, right? And
I mean, you got to do something to break the monotony, I'm sure.
I think it's great, photos, there's tons of combat photos, and those are all great. They all tell the story, but there's a whole other story that often gets missed. maybe most of the public won't fully understand, but I think veterans understand when they see these kinds of photos.
Oh,
It
I'm
clicks with
sure.
them.
Yeah.
That there's these events that are hard to understand for other people, but those who are in the know, they know, and it means something to them. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And another thing that I'm really looking forward to seeing come out of this is, it's my understanding that you've got one whole section on Porta-John art.
Well, that is thanks to the wonderful Facebook page of War Murals. Definitely worth looking up, and you might even be worth coming on your podcast.
Right?
This guy, his name's Eric, and he does he has a fantastic page called War Murals, and he's documenting all the different types of art through the global war of terror, and I think it's great. There's
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff. The Porta-John art was definitely an interesting aspect to it. But what's important part, if you look at like up here in Canada, the Canadian War Museum, they have a whole section on Canadian war artists, right, who draw official portraits.
Right.
But this is a whole different level of art that was being commissioned. Some of it sort of sanctioned by the chain of command, some of it probably not sanctioned by the chain of command.
Sure.
But it's all great.
Well, back in World War II, World War I, they had trench art.
For sure, yeah.
And in fact, I've actually got some trench art that I bought a while back, and it's a sugar scoop made out of a spent shell, artillery shell.
That's very cool.
So, yeah, it is very cool. So, I don't remember where I come across, but I come across it, and I just had to have it. So, all right. Well, give us a little bit more insight on Project 44.
Sure. Project 44 or Project Athena?
Surprise me. Give me a little bit of both.
All right. Well, Project 44 and Project Athena, we're building both of them on the same framework. And
okay.
What that means is that they're going to have similar tools, similar look and feel. And really what we're doing is building a set of tools to map out conflict in a way it's never been done before. The idea being that we can upload places where units were, what they were doing. We can upload maps, all these resources, and bring them together in one place so people can understand them. I think, when we think about Athena and Afghanistan in general, people are going to the public memory is going to start to fade, right, over time. And
right.
There's not really, there certainly are a lot of histories that have been written, but it's not going to be to the same extent as the Second World War. And I think a digital project like Athena is going to be vitally important to capture those memories and keep them going forward, and to show what was happening on the ground, right? Whatever that truth is, at least from the soldier's perspective, right? And with Project 44, I kind of view that as a bit of a time machine, right? So we can go back, we can preserve those documents and bring them all together and put them onto a web map in one place for everybody to see. It's a bit of as much of a time machine as we can to go back to the Second World War and preserve what was happening and talk about these different events. Because it's only getting harder the further we move away, right?
Right.
From the Second World War ending, for people to try to understand, when we talk about World War II veterans, we were sort of talking about grandfathers, but now it's great grandfathers, and soon it's going to be great great grandfathers. There's going to be this huge generational gap. Actually, I was just talking about this on Facebook, on our Project 44 page, the sort of expansion of AI. I call it AI slop, right? Coming out of AI generated videos.
Right.
And, they're getting a ton of likes and hits on this content, but it's going to reshape how people view
I agree.
The Second World War, right? They're going to see this altered, shitty image.
Exactly. And it's not a factual image.
Exactly, right? So how do we prevent that? Well, I think websites like this will help to do that. Because, that I don't want that image to be in future generations' minds of what things looked like.
No, and I don't either. And I'll tell you what, I've been a strong advocate against the AI stuff, just for reasons like that. You can't trust it. It gives false impressions.
Yeah, I agree.
And it just doesn't portray history right. I mean,
the example I like to use, AI is a tool, right? And if you know how to use a tool, then you know how to use it properly. And the example I like to give is when my wife and I were getting married, we had a toilet seat break, and it had these plastic bolts and a fastener, and they gummed up.
right. Oh yeah.
And I couldn't take it off, right? So, this is young me, stupid me. I grabbed the wrong tool for the job. I thought, well, you know what? I'll just take a hammer on the bolts,
Right.
and I'll break the plastic. It's just plastic. So I did
Right.
that. Well, guess what I did? I shattered the toilet bowl.
The toilet, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Like, what an idiot! Look back now.
I knew where that was going.
Yeah, exactly. You have life experience. I didn't have it back then.
Right.
So it's bringing the wrong tool. So if you ask AI to just generate a bunch of history for you,
yes,
it's going to generate history for you. It's going to tell you it's the greatest thing that's ever been done. And when you say generate a video for me, it's going to generate a video for you.
Right.
And it's going to look like shit. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So kudos to you for staying away from that.
Well, it scares me because
it does me too.
There's no Second World War veterans. There's not very many around there. And
no, there's very few of them left.
They're not going to sit there and tell you that it's wrong. Like they're worried about other things, right? So like what's going to happen to Afghanistan one day? Am I going to be 67 years old and there's going to be a bunch of AI slop talking about my tour to Afghanistan? I'm not going to recognize that.
That's very possible.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely not a fan of that.
No, me either. Okay. Well, for any of the veterans out there, Afghan or otherwise, how do they submit their photos and their stories to you?
Yeah.
What's the process?
It's pretty easy. All you got to do is go to projectathena.ca. The top right corner is a create an account button. Just go in there, fill in your details, press submit. You'll get an email just confirming, that you got the email, that you're a real account.
Okay.
Once that's done, your account's verified, and then you just go to the website. On the left-hand side, there's a little add photo button. Just click that, and you can start adding your photos.
Oh, that's cool. What about, is it the same kind of process for like pinning your fob or your combat outpost or?
Yeah, so we haven't released that yet. We're building that in yet, and we got to test it out. But it'll be basically the same process as that. We're going to have a bunch of other features as well. One of the things we're working on right now is what I call story mapping. So the story map is just an interactive blog, essentially, that's on the web map. So what happens is the right-hand screen has text and images you can upload, and the left-hand screen is the map. And as you scroll through, it moves the camera to wherever you want. So if you want to talk about your tour, you go in there, you upload text. This is where I started at. The camera moves to that position. Then you scroll to the next chapter and moves to a different part. You can talk about anything. It doesn't have to be your tour. It can be talk about, a battle that happened or an incident that happened. But, the idea is we want veterans to share their stories, right? Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
As a guy who studies Second World War, what is something that we're always talking about? Oh, we wish that, World War II veterans would talk about their stories, or, their children say, oh, dad never talked about that, or grandpa never talked about the war. I think we need to learn from that, right? We don't want to be chasing around the last few Afghan veterans when they're in their nursing home and there's only like 5% of us left. And that's the story of the war, is that 5%. We need to have...
I totally understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand. I had an uncle. He's passed now. He passed, I don't know, 5 years ago maybe. Was a World War II veteran, Marine. He was on boat 2, day 2 of the Normandy invasion, and I never knew it until after he passed away.
Wow. Yeah. Right.
He just didn't talk about it.
I mean, that was that
So
old thing, right? You don't talk
yeah,
about it. You
right,
just shut it down
right.
and drink it away, right?
Yeah, a
So
lot of them did. Yeah.
exactly. And were the
So
consequences of that? I don't know. Probably not the healthiest way to deal with it, but that's the way it was dealt with
right.
at the time. So
Oh yeah. I mean, I would have given anything to heard those stories.
yeah,
And
exactly.
they're lost. So I applaud you for what you're trying to do, and I wish you all the luck in the world with it. Uh, Here in the States, especially here in Ohio, if you ever get to Columbus to meet your friend up there, we've got a Ohio Veterans Museum up there. And in the basement of that museum, they've got a soundproof booth where veterans can go in there and record their stories. Now, what they're doing with that information, those stories, those recordings, I don't know. I don't know if, the general public's got the ability to go in there and listen to them or not. It would be amazing if that was the case because, I like history myself, like you, and I would love to just sit down and listen to some of those stories.
For sure.
So,
I mean, there's a ton of stuff that's captured out there, and as we talked about before, they don't get captured in these books, right?
right,
Um,
right,
I mean, if the average person were to even to sit down with a veteran, just understand what an average patrol would have been like out in sort of no man's land or behind the
oh
Germans'
yeah,
line on a raid.
right,
I
right,
mean, you might read about it quickly, like, oh, that's just a patrol. One soldier was killed and 3 were wounded, and there's some
right.
artillery. But if you really understand what that would have been like that would have been life changing for anybody. But it's
Oh
such a
yeah,
small story compared to anything else that it just gets lost in sort of the annals of time.
absolutely. All right. Well, we've covered quite a bit here, and I know that you got some stuff you got to do. So I know that your wife's getting ready to take the kids out to karate class or whatever, and you got to take care of the dog and all that.
Oh
So
yeah, it's a country song.
yeah, pretty much. Oh Lord, yeah, it definitely would be a good country song. So before I let you go, is there anything that you would like to talk about or discuss before we wrap this up?
The only other thing I would say is what we're building here for Afghanistan. We're building, it's a set of tools, and there's a lot of applicability to other conflicts. So we would certainly want to and look forward to partnering with somebody who wants to do the Iraq side of things as well. That's a whole
Oh
other
yeah,
conflict
absolutely.
on the global war on terror. Canada obviously
Right,
was not involved in Iraq, especially for the Operation Iraqi Freedom. We had
right.
involvement afterwards, but mostly with the Syrian air campaign and training up the Iraqi forces. That was much
Oh yeah,
later.
that would that
But
would that would absolutely be beneficial to you to get somebody from that side on it.
yeah, so if there's any listeners out there who know somebody who want to partner with that, like I don't want to run. That's an American story completely. So it doesn't
Right.
need to be done by a Canadian, but we have the framework to do that. So
Yeah,
if there's anybody
have
interested,
the tools and the ability. So
exactly.
yeah. All right. Well, like Nathan said, if you're out there and you're watching this and you'd like to get involved with that, reach out to Nathan. I know he's on Facebook and LinkedIn. Are there any other platforms that you're on, Nathan, that they could reach you?
Yeah, sure. We're on Twitter, Project Athena or Project
Okay.
44, Facebook, the website,
Right.
LinkedIn. There's a million different ways to get a hold of me. So
Okay. All right. Well, I know I didn't have any trouble getting a hold of you, and I truly appreciate you, coming on the show and telling your story and letting us in on, the projects that you got going on up there up north. And I want you to know that even though with everything that's going on, you still got friends on this side of the border.
we appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, all right, with that, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. And again, I want to thank you for coming on, and I wish you all the luck in the world on your projects up there. And I'm looking forward to seeing the outcomes.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
All right, take care.
approximately 18:30 in the evening here at Forward Operating Base Forest. Please tell me your name and your rank, sir.
My name's Corporal Jimmy Robinson.
Congratulations, you just got promoted here. First time being promoted away from the States?
No, I got promoted to PFC during my first deployment.
So this is your second deployment, is that right?
Actually, my third.
Your third. One in Afghanistan?
Yeah, I've done 2 in Iraq, 1 in Afghanistan.
All right, tell me, what's your job?
My job, I'm a fire team leader, Alpha team leader under Sergeant Riley.
And how old are you, sir?
27.
How long you been in the Army?
I've been in a little bit over 5 years.
Where do you hail from?
Originally from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Home of the Bengals, is that right?
That's right.
I was speaking with Sergeant Riley earlier, and he spoke quite highly of you. You guys look like you have a really tight group here.
Yeah, it's we're all really close. We're all pretty good friends across the board.
You have family back home?
Yeah, I've got a wife and 2 kids back at Fort Campbell.
Congratulations, and their names?
Thank you. My wife's name's Kate, and my oldest daughter is Emily, and the youngest is Tori.
Anything you want to say to them?
I love you guys. I miss you.
Very good. Corporal Robinson, congratulations on your promotion.
All right, thank you very much.
And be safe out here.
I'll try.
It's Jim Sperry, August 15, 2010, at the promotion of Corporal Robinson. Corporal, what's your first name again?
It's Jimmy.
Jimmy. That's an easy name to remember. My name's Jim.
It works, huh?
All right, roger that, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Congratulations.